This message is only for you, not for the crowd, not for the noise, not for the world that keeps rushing past without listening. Just you, because sometimes love doesn't need a microphone. It needs a moment of honesty. And this is that moment. I don't stand here to impress you. I stand here because love asks for courage. Because when you care deeply, you stop hiding behind big words and start speaking the truth from the heart. Love isn't loud, it's steady, it shows up, it chooses you, even on the days when choosing is hard. If you're listening right now, it's not an accident. It's because love believed you were worth this message, worth the time, the patience, the promise that you were not alone and never were. This message is only for you. Not because you are perfect, not because everything is easy, but because you are real. And real things deserve real words. I am not here to convince you of anything. I am here because love, when it's honest, doesn't stay silent. It shows up, it stands still, it speaks when the world is loud and chooses truth over drama. If you're listening to this, then somewhere deep inside you already know this message belongs to you. Not anyone else, not the past, not the noise, not the doubts that come late at night. Love doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like understanding. It arrives like someone sitting beside you when you don't know what to say. This message isn't rushed because love is never in a hurry. It takes its time. It learns your pauses. It respects your silence. And when it speaks gently, the way you speak to someone you don't want to lose. I'm speaking to you like that now, slowly, honestly, with care. You may have been told before that love is loud, that it needs proof every second, that it must be dramatic to be real. But the strongest love I know is quiet. It's the kind that stays even when there's nothing to gain. It doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. It asks you to be here as you are, with your flaws, your fears, your unfinished thoughts. This message is not asking you to change. It's reminding you that you are already enough to be chosen. There are moments in life when you feel unseen, like you're walking through days that don't fully notice you. You smile, you function, you keep going, but inside there's a part of you that wonders if anyone truly understands. Love understands without interrogation. It doesn't ask you to explain your pain before it sits with you. It doesn't need a reason to care. And this message exists because love saw you even in the moments when you felt invisible. You don't have to earn this message. You don't have to prove anything to deserve it. Love is not a transaction. It's not a reward for good behavior or a punishment for mistakes. It's a choice made again and again, especially on ordinary days, especially when nothing exciting is happening, especially when the world feels heavy and you're just trying to breathe. This message is here to tell you that choosing you is not a question. It's a decision already made. Sometimes you carry the weight of being strong for too long. You hold yourself together because you think that's what's expected. You don't complain, you don't ask, you don't stop. But love notices the tiredness behind your strength. It sees the effort no one applauds. It respects the battles you don't talk about. This message is not asking you to be stronger. It's giving you permission to rest in the idea that someone cares without conditions. Love doesn't rush your healing. It doesn't push you to be over things before you're ready. It sits with your scars and doesn't flinch. It understands that some wounds don't disappear. They become part of who you are. And loving you means loving all of it, not just the polished version you show the world. This message is for the parts of you keep hidden, the thoughts you don't share, the emotions you swallow because you don't want to be a burden. You might have learned to guard your heart. That makes sense. When something matters, you protect it. Love doesn't judge that. Love is patient with walls. It doesn't knock aggressively, it waits. It proves itself through consistency, not promises, through showing up, not speeches. This message isn't here to break your walls. It's here to let you know that behind them you are safe to be seen. There is a difference between being wanted and being chosen. Being wanted can be temporary. Being chosen is deliberate. Love chooses you in quiet moments, in boring moments, in moments when there is nothing impressive about the day. It chooses you when you doubt yourself. It chooses you when you're not at your best. This message exists because love made that choice without hesitation. You don't have to be extraordinary to be loved. You just have to be you. Your voice, your pace, your way of seeing the world. Love doesn't compare you to anyone else. It doesn't measure you against expectations. It meets you where you are and says, this is enough for me. This message is not here to elevate you above others. It's here to anchor you into the truth that you matter exactly as you are. Sometimes you wonder if the way you love is too much, too deep, too sincere. But love was never meant to be shallow. The world may reward detachment, but love honors commitment. It honors staying when it would be easier to leave. It honors effort that no one sees. This message is not asking you to love less, it's reminding you that loving deeply is not a weakness. You may have been hurt by people who spoke loudly but left quietly, by promises that sounded beautiful but didn't last. Love understands your hesitation. It doesn't rush your trust. It earns it through actions, through presence, through staying consistent when there's no applause. This message doesn't need you to believe everything instantly. It just asks you to listen. There is a quiet courage in opening your heart again after disappointment. Love sees that courage in you. It respects how carefully you move now. It knows you're not cold, you're cautious. And that caution comes from caring deeply once before. This message is not here to reopen old wounds, it's here to remind you that your ability to love survived everything you went through. Love doesn't compete with your independence. It doesn't try to shrink you. It stands beside you, not in front of you. It wants you whole, not dependent, strong, not silent. This message is for you as you are becoming, not for a version of you that fits someone else's idea. You don't have to perform here. You don't have to impress. You don't have to have all the answers. Love is comfortable with uncertainty. It knows that life is unpredictable, that people grow, that paths change, and still it stays present. This message is not a promise of perfection. It's a promise of sincerity. If you've ever felt like you were too late, too broken, or too complicated to be loved, this message exists to gently disagree. Love doesn't look for perfect timing, it creates meaning in imperfect moments. It doesn't fear complexity, it embraces it. This message isn't telling you that everything will be easy. It's telling you that you don't have to face things alone. There are days when you question your worth without even realizing it. It shows up in the way you settle, the way you minimize your needs, the way you accept less than you give. Love notices that too. It doesn't take advantage of it. It reminds you, patiently, that you deserve effort, honesty, and respect. This message is part of that reminder. Love doesn't shout over your fears. It listens to them. It understands where they come from, and it doesn't leave because of them. It stays steady, grounded, calm. This message is not dramatic. It's intentional. It's here because love doesn't need chaos to feel alive. You might not realize how much your presence changes a room, how your kindness lingers, how your silence holds meaning. Love sees these things. It pays attention. This message is not about grand gestures. It's about acknowledging the quiet impact you have just by being yourself. There is strength in gentleness. There is depth in patience. Love understands that. It doesn't mistake calm for boredom or softness for weakness. It values the kind of connection that grows slowly and lasts longer. This message is an invitation to breathe, to slow down, to remember that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. You are allowed to want something meaningful. You are allowed to want consistency. You are allowed to want love that feels safe. This message is not asking you to lower your standards. It's honoring them. Love doesn't disappear when things get complicated. It leans in. It listens more. It speaks carefully. This message is careful with you. Every word is here because it respects what you carry, and if at any moment you doubt whether this message is truly for you, remember that love doesn't send messages by accident. It speaks with intention. It chooses its moments. It chooses its person. And right now, it chose you. Love doesn't chase attention. It waits patiently for the one who truly listens. It understands that not everything meaningful needs to be loud. Some things are meant to be felt slowly, the way a truth settles in your chest before it reaches your mind. This message exists in that quiet space where nothing is forced and nothing is rushed. It's not trying to pull you toward it. It's simply here, steady, open, waiting for you to notice that it was never going anywhere. The world teaches us to grab, to hurry, to demand answers right away. Love moves differently. Love knows that what's real doesn't disappear just because it's silent for a moment. It doesn't panic when there's distance. It doesn't compete with noise. It trusts connection enough to let it breathe. This message isn't calling out for your attention. It's sitting beside you, confident that when you're ready, you'll hear it. There are times when you feel like you have to prove your value by being seen, by being noticed, by being chosen loudly. Love doesn't ask that of you. Love already sees you, even when you're quiet, even when you pull back, even when you're unsure of what you want to say. This message isn't impressed by performance. It's moved by honesty, by the parts of you that exist when no one is watching. Love understands waiting, not the kind of waiting filled with anxiety, but the kind filled with trust. It waits because it believes in timing, because it respects your pace, because it knows that rushing connection only creates distance later. This message waits with patience, not expectation. It doesn't demand that you arrive as someone else. It welcomes you exactly as you are in this moment. You may have grown used to people losing interest when things slow down, to attention that fades when there's no excitement left. Love isn't like that. Love stays curious even in stillness. It listens between the words. It notices the things you don't say. This message is paying attention to the pauses, the hesitations, the moments when you look away because you don't know how to explain what you're feeling. Sometimes you hold back because you've learned that speaking too soon can cost you. Love doesn't punish caution, it respects it. It understands that opening up is not weakness, it's courage that comes from experience. This message isn't trying to pull everything out of you at once. It's comfortable with layers. It knows that trust unfolds, not explodes. Love doesn't mistake distance for disinterest. It understands that people retreat to protect what matters, that silence can mean depth, not absence. This message isn't worried about the moments when you step back. It knows you'll step forward, again when it feels safe, when it feels right. There is something powerful about love that doesn't interrupt your life but fits into it. Love that doesn't demand you abandon who you are, but supports who you're becoming. This message isn't asking you to choose between yourself and connection. It believes those two things can exist together. You may have experienced a tension that felt intense but disappeared quickly. Love doesn't burn fast, it warms steadily, it builds something you can lean on. This message isn't here to overwhelm you, it's here to be consistent, even on days when nothing special is happening. Love doesn't get bored with depth, it doesn't need constant stimulation to stay interested. It values meaning over excitement. This message isn't trying to entertain you, it's trying to understand you. There are parts of you that feel too slow for the world, too thoughtful, too careful. Love appreciates those parts. It knows that anything worth keeping deserves time. This message isn't pushing you forward, it's walking beside you. Love doesn't demand certainty from you. It understands doubt. It understands questions. It understands that clarity comes with patience. This message isn't asking you to know everything right now, it's asking you to stay present. You don't have to fill every silence. Love is comfortable there. Silence doesn't scare it. It listens even when there are no words. This message exists in that space where nothing needs to be said to be felt. Love doesn't compete for your attention. It trusts that when something matters, it will be noticed. This message isn't worried about being overlooked. It knows that connection finds its way when both hearts are ready. You may have learned to move quickly to avoid disappointment. Love moves slowly to build trust. This message isn't trying to rush past uncertainty. It's allowing things to unfold naturally. Love doesn't ask you to choose it blindly. It gives you space to see clearly, to feel fully, to decide honestly. This message isn't manipulating your emotions. It respects your ability to choose. There is a quiet confidence in love that knows it doesn't have to prove itself constantly. It shows up, it stays, it listens. This message isn't repeating itself louder. It's repeating itself consistently. You don't owe immediate responses here. You don't owe instant vulnerability. Love isn't keeping score. It understands that readiness can't be forced. This message isn't watching the clock. It's watching you. Love doesn't disappear when you're unsure. It doesn't punish hesitation. It stays present without pressure. This message isn't pulling away because you need time. There's a difference between being pursued and being respected. Love chooses respect. It values your boundaries. This message isn't crossing lines. It's waiting for invitation. Love understands that some truths arrive slowly, that emotions take time to name. This message isn't asking you to rush into understanding it. It's allowing meaning to grow. You may feel pressure from the world to decide quickly, to define things immediately. Love resists that pressure. It believes clarity grows stronger when it's allowed to form naturally. This message isn't demanding definition. Love doesn't fear being quiet in a noisy world. It knows that depth doesn't need volume. This message isn't shouting to be heard. There are connections that only exist when both people are willing to slow down. Love knows this. This message is slowing down for you. You don't have to match anyone else's pace. Love meets you at yours. This message isn't comparing you to anyone. Love understands that trust is built through time, not words. This message isn't making promises it can't keep. You may not realize how much you listen before you speak, how much you observe before you act. Love values that. This message sees that part of you. Love doesn't push past your comfort just to feel important. It waits because it cares.